like Benson, I'm a who that.
I'm a who that.
Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that.
I'm a who that.
Sports coma, this is where we do that.
Where we do that.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Fucking like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Give me a second here, fam. Much love to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in the live stream. Much love to the fam. Appreciate the great Saint Tank. We up in this thing. Appreciate y'all chiming in on this episode of the Coma, man. Big ups to the fam as we had to reschedule Solomon. He'll be with us in the next. We'll get that worked out over the next couple of days, but he'll be in here. And hopefully we'll have the Pac-Man along with him. We'll talk about the Bengals. We're going to get deep and intricate about the preview matchup tonight. So shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being up in this thing. Much love to everybody up in this thing. We're going to go over the injury report today. I'm not going to hold you guys too long on this broadcast tonight. I'm just going to holler at you guys on a few news, notes, and items for the team. We'll go over and do a preview right here, and then we'll do more of an intricate preview once Solomon chimes in on the next broadcast right here. But anyway, shout out to the fam. Appreciate each and every last one of y'all for being in the live stream. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and feel free to share the show's link on your social media feed with other diehard black and gold people that got a brain. You know, please, with the ones with the brain, shout out to them. You got to have a brain to be a part of the great Saint Tank, because thinking is involved. At least we got to have some, you know what I'm saying, some critical thinkers. So shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being up in this thing. Once again, big ups to his Poppy. Shout out to your JT, Be Kind, OG Jerry is in the building as well. Elite. Shout out to your brother Prime. Good to see you in the shot in the stream. Trey Joseph. Shout out to your fam, brother Robert Clark. And all of the family members. Brother Troy's in this thing as well. Brother Eric's in this thing. Shout out to you, St. John Butler. Appreciate you, bro, for being up in this thing. JT, shout out to you. Josh Goat 23. Big ups to you as well. And good to see everybody involved. Joe Gidry. Shout out to your brother Joe. Who that daddy? Shout out to your fam. Appreciate you being in the building. Dr. Key. Shout out to you, Dr. Key. Good to see you, fam. Hope everything doing well with you. My brother Tori's in the building. Shout out to my brother Tori Shepard Sr. Much love. All right. The Queen's in the building. Shout out to Carla. Shout out to KB. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. My dog Trav 504. Who that Dana? Shout out to you, Queen. Good to see you. Brother Anthony's in the stream. Shout out to you. Good to see you. Brother Wallace is in this thing. Shout out to you, bro. And good to see everybody, man. Appreciate y'all being in the building for this one, man. I hope I got everybody, man. I hope I got everybody up in this thing. Shout out to everybody up in this thing. I see you, 504 hot boy. Debbie, what's popping with you, Queen? A black preacher, man, sports fan, Khalib. Shout out to you, bro. Says, salute, Big Q. Is Kirk Meredith hurt? Why the Saints let him make the team and don't use him? He showed out in the preseason. No, he ain't hurt. The Saints just ain't using him right now, bro. You know, they got him sitting on that practice squad. And they could use a guy like Kirk Merritt, his kick return ability, and you know. But right now, the Saints just rocking with what they rocking with, bro. And ain't nothing wrong with him. He's sitting up there. All right, shout out to the fam. Appreciate all y'all being up in this thing. What's up, Ramsey? Big ups to your fam. Appreciate you chiming in this thing. Much love to your 504 Co and the rest of the fam. Pammy Whammy, what's popping, Queen? Shout out to you. Good to see you, everybody, man. Good to see y'all in this building. All right, brother Randolph's birthday. No, I didn't see that, man. Shout out to my brother Randolph. Shout out to him, man. He doing good work at the Keep It Real podcast. Got a lot of love for the great Saint Tank family members like brother Randolph and my dog, the Nola Bros, doing a great job, man. Among others, Hoodie and the rest of them, man, are putting that work in for the Who Dat Nation. So I appreciate each and every last one of them for representing. Marley Mall, shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you. What's up, Lori? Much love to Lori. Good to see her in this. Shout out to the Queen. Gerard's in the building. Shout out to you, Gundam. Brother Gundam's in this thing as well. And everybody, man. What's up, Kai? Who that to you, fam? Appreciate you. Much love to you, bro. Appreciate you for being up in this thing. Much love to everybody. What's up, Corey? He said, "What about Dalton, man? I know Dalton doing pretty good, bro." A lot of people say, "Q, is it a QB controversial?" What's up, Carlton? Shout out to my brother Carlton, man. Shout out 3Ls. I see you, fam. Much love, 3Ls. Who that to you? Good to see you. All right, yeah, Dalton is doing good, man. Dalton is doing good. He's doing what he's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? He a placeholder. There is no QB controversy as far as I'm concerned. Why? Because Jameis got the money. He got the what 20 plus million, breaks down what at 14 million a year. Jameis got the bread. So, man, what can I tell you, man? It ain't no controversy. Soon as Jameis is healthier to roll, he gonna be out there on that field. So shout out to the fam. All right, big ups to everybody, man. Shout out to Adrian, number one in the building. Shout out to my girl Adrian. Appreciate her stopping by and supporting the stream. Much love to everybody, man. All right, so family, with that being said, man, let's pop into the injury report right here. We're gonna start off with that one for this Thursday. In the thing, 14 New Orleans Saints players listed on this injury report again, man. And of course, we see a lot of names that it's getting close. Wednesday, DNP for these guys. We know Deontay Harty is not going to play in this game. He had that turf issue, that turf toe issue, which a lot of people think he'll be done for the rest of the year. That's how it's looking. Jarvis Landry, rumor mill was Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas would play in this matchup. But as it stands right now, both of those guys are shut down for the Wednesday and Thursday action here. Did not practice either Jarvis or Mike. Neither did Laddie Daddy. You know, he was shut down as well. Peyton Turner, once again, another chest issue. He was shut down. Chris Olave went from concussion to DNP to LP, which is promising. That is good because we need Chris Olave and what he's bringing. And hopefully we got one more day to see exactly where the designation would be with Landry and Thomas. But word on the street was saying that these guys would be good to go. We'll see if their status changed for DNP to LP for Friday. So that'll be a big part. One more day. All right, so limited. Chris Olave was great news. Kelvin Throckmorton, the backup offensive lineman, he had some limited reps. Ryan Ramczyk was limited. Adebo limited. JT Gray fully practiced. Both him and Taysom. Good to see Taysom went fully practiced. We're going to need him. Marcus May is another character that we're going to need as well. Limited. And of course, Malcolm Roach was limited. You got Jameis there practicing second day in a row from the back and ankle issue. Is it enough time? 2 games for Jameis. I say, man, he needs more time than that. But, you know, like I said, I don't think Jameis starts in this matchup. We'll see, man. We'll see if Dennis Allen pulls the card. But listen, you mix in Taysom, you mix in Dalton, you mix in the running attack, and then you mix out Jameis Winston and keep him on the bench until he's healthy. Cincinnati, Lyle Collins, the former LSU guys, limited with rest issues. T. Higgins from Clemson, one of their big wide receivers there, has an ankle issue, and he was shut down Wednesday and Thursday. And of course, you see the rest of their team. Hayden Hurst had a groin issue. He was limited. And Samaj Perine, who is the backup running back behind Mixon, was limited with the same issues that Laddie Daddy has. So that's what we're talking about right now. So, man, this injury report littered with some top talent here for the black and gold. So, you know, like I said, you look at this list and you say to yourself, God damn, man, the Saints is dealing with so much right now, man. It's hard to see. And it's really hitting and impacting our wide receiver room. Something fierce, isn't it, family? Deontay Harty, Jarvis Landry, Mike Thomas, and then Chris Olave, who's limited. But boys, it's smacking the hell out of our wide receiver room, isn't it? So, man, wow. But anyway, shout out to Black Preacher, man. Sports fan, Brother Khalif says, was married running back. He says, was married running back kicks and playing wide receiver in preseason. Yeah, he was doing everything that they wanted him to do. First, he started out with a wide receiver. He was doing really great during the camp, mini camp, and big camp. Then you seen him switch him and say, yes, let's see what he does as a running back. He was doing that, and he was doing okay with that. He was also working a special team. Anything they wanted Kirk Merritt to do, he was doing. It's just right now, they just got him sitting on the practice squad. So, you know, I don't know. The practice squad for me is like for people like Kevin. Well, it shouldn't be Kevin White because Kevin White done had chance after chance in this NFL to show what he can do. I think he done kind of bypassed it. We need to see other guys there and see what they can do. I would even be more appreciatory of a guy like Quan Baker who's a young player, had a mistake with the PED situation, but he's a guy that I'm looking at, and I would rather kind of see what he can do. I know what Kevin White can do, so but Kevin White's sitting up on this list. So we'll see, man. And of course, we'll go over. So yeah, a lot of people impacted. Our wide receiver room is impacted big time. Two of the three best wide receivers we had is gone. Deontay Hardy, our best kick returner, is missing. And of course, Rashid Shaheed, rumor on the street, or reports that have been put out there by guys like Underhill and a few others, are saying the Saints are ramping up Rashid Shaheed to step in to see what he can do. So listen, Rashid Shaheed's phenomenal in college. But remember, the Saints, man, their punt blockers, man. The blocking units for the punt return team and the kick return team for the Saints are not good. And I've been saying that nobody wants to write on it because it's probably the least attractive portion of the football team that you want to talk about. The offense has the razzmatazz, so does the defense to a degree. And then, of course, when you talk about special teams, all we want to talk about is the kicker, the punter, and the kick returner, and the punt returner. But we don't want to talk about the punt unit, the punt blockers, and the blocking units that had our kick return and punt return teams. They suck. And I'm saying, damn, they couldn't open up a slither of light for Deontay Hardy. Matter of fact, on the fumble he had 2 games ago, he got tackled by 3 guys and he fumbled the ball. And I'm like, God damn, where was the blocking at? Where are these guys the blocking? You can put the tape on yourself. It's always guys running free, and it's never just one guy. It's always like 1 or 2 guys running free, just running down the field. I'm like, where the hell is that guy's blocker at? Where is he at? So, I mean, they are awful. You put the tape on guys, teams, defensive teams running down, running past these guys, pushing them out the way, getting down there. They're not opening up lanes for the kick returner. So I hope that if Rashid Shaheed is the kick returner that they're going to try this week, I'm hoping that those rotten blockers do something to open up some lanes for our kick returner and punt returner to make some stuff shake here. I mean, at least give them an opportunity to flip the field or create a short field for the Saints so we can start out instead of being way back on there at the 20 and beyond, behind there. Maybe we can get up to the 45-yard line up. If we're fortunate to get a kick return for a touchdown or a punt return for a touchdown, Lord. But anyway, we'll see, man. I keep pointing it out, man. Nobody won't talk about it. But anyway, that's the injury report, fam. Thank you, Khalid, man. Appreciate the super chat, my brother. Thank you for that. Much love. All right, Ramsey, shout out to you. Say, hey, Q, with Jordan Howard on the practice squad, does that mean another team can come and yeah, they can't claim his ass off the practice squad next week, I'm saying, after the contest. And if the Saints don't protect him, yeah, they can take him up off of there. If the Saints can't protect him, yeah, the same thing can happen. So, I mean, does he really need to be on the practice squad? The Saints started the season with 4 running backs, and I can see that. But you don't anticipate them using all 4 runners unless injuries occur. But to a degree, you do anticipate the Saints using it, maybe 3 of the 4 guys that they have in some capacity, or at least be organized. Because I've seen this happen before with a lot of smart coaches where they have certain guys set up for certain areas of the game. Like you'll use a guy in certain areas of the game, like if he's a short yardage runner, if it's 3rd and short, let's put this guy out here who falls forward and gets you 4.5, 5 yards. Let's put him in there as opposed to run Elvin Kamara in there naked. You see what I'm saying? Let's put the bruise in there and punch that hole through there. Or how about later in the game, late 3rd going into the 4th quarter, when the game is a little old in the tooth, the defense is tired because you're running the ball, and then you put your power runner in there and start wearing on the defense. That works too. But, at some point, it's not always on the player. It's on the coach. The coach has to look at the team and see which players are not showing up to play or not having a good game, sit them out the way, and then bring a guy in there that can get a different result. Sometimes that's how the rhythm of the game goes. You see it all the time. You'll see Elvin Kamara go in there and get yardage. You'll see him get yardage, don't you? He'll go in there, he'll run left, he'll run right, he'll pick up 3 or 4 yards here or there. And then you've seen it with Dwayne Washington in the small sample size survey that they showed you. When Washington had those 3 straight running plays, he was gashing them right up the middle, ramming them right up the middle. You put Ingram in there, and then he fumbles the ball. But prior to that, Ingram was averaging 5 yards and doing a pretty decent job. But when those guys don't have it, you either give them a fullback to block for them, you got to switch it up, or put another guy in there that'll have more of an impact. Maybe you need a north-south power runner to bash them holes open, or give them a fullback to stand in front of them when he running. How about putting the heavy load team, as I call them, in there, the max protect the guys in there, the big uglies in there, as I call them. Put them extra linemen, the jumbo package in there, and run at them if you need be. But I respect the fact that the Saints did change the game plan from what it was prior to the Seattle Seahawks contest to run it 48 times and get 200 yards rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns in the matchup that shot them into the top 10 in rushing in the NFL. So I got to give it to them. And I was doing some research and study upon some things, man. And I was just looking at it, I was like, man, the Saints are 10th in rushing, well, the Bengals are 25th. And then you look at the rushing touchdowns, the Saints are 6th in the NFL in rushing touchdowns. The Bengals are 27th. So when Solomon get up here, I got some stats for him and Pac-Man when they come on up in here in the next day or so. So we're going to get them back on up in here. We're going to get it worked out. But it's a lot of stuff going on that I like about what the Saints are doing in the rushing game. A lot of stuff that's positive. And it's good to see that they eventually did switch to that, because that's the only way you're going to have success. You got to get the rushing attack going. I mean, you got to run at them. You got to get the running game powered up to go against them and bash these guys. You got to run at them. You got to dominate there and then get the pass going after that. So I got to give them a shot for at least doing that, because that was the first time in a long time we ran that much. I was saying give us 30 rushing attempts, at least 30 a game. Them people say, okay, hell with that. I'm giving you 48. Do you like that? Yeah, I like that, because we got to win. All right, let's keep it shaking and baking, man. I'm going to go into some of y'all's stuff in just a moment. But listen, a lot of the family members, shout out to Professor, shout out to him, shout out to Jim Kev, shout out to my brother Randolph. Once again, happy birthday to Randolph. They was tweeting at me and DMing at me and say, Q, Marlon Mack is available. The 49ers put him in the street 2 days ago. And I was saying to myself, yeah, I know, family, but do they have the imagination to go after and get a guy like Marlon Mack and bring him on the team? Now, listen, it wasn't but a couple years ago, and what was it? I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken, that the Saints, was it last year? I want to say it was. It was October of last year, matter of fact. It was almost a year to the date where the Saints were looking at trying to trade for Marlon Mack. They were looking at trying to trade for him, or if that was the last year or the year before that, I forget. But I did a show on it. And I think it was 2 years ago. That's what it was. I think it was a couple years ago when he was still with the Colts, and the Colts had him on the trading block. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. And the Saints were looking at him, and it was in October. The Saints were looking to trade for Marlon Mack, and for whatever reason, they just didn't pull the trigger on it. I guess they felt like the Colts, what they wanted for him was too steep. But Marlon Mack is still out there. It was like, well, Q, something got to be wrong with him, because nobody else wants him and they keep turning him loose. He went to the Texans. The Texans got rid of him. He went to the Niners. The Niners. So you keep something wrong with him. That's not necessarily the case. That's not always the case. If you got a guy like Marlon Mack who can run inside and out and catch the ball out the backfield, he'll be a weapon for you. He'd be the best running back, not named Elvin Kamara, on your team if you signed him tomorrow. For real. He's totally healthy. Nothing wrong with him in his health, which was an issue. He had some issues with the Colts, some injury issues, but he's totally healthy now. Most of the time when you see stuff like that, it could be a situational thing. Like they might want or need to get rid of him to open up a spot for somebody else, or the team don't have the vision. They doesn't have the vision to use a guy like a Marlon Mack, like you would think. I'm just keeping it $1.15, because why would the Saints sign anybody else if you got a guy like Marlon Mack out there and you're looking for a guy with experience and he's healthy? He has an excellent resume, has a lot of starting experience, and can serve as a good running back for you in your system. Well, the Saints are still looking for running backs, but at the same time, they must not see Mack as somebody they want. But the Saints are, they're looking at try to keep it funky, which is why they added this guy. Saints practice squad adds former Rams running back Jake Funk. That's right. Jake Funk. That's right. Keeping it funky. The Saints add Jake Funk to the team. You're like, what the hell? Well, before you, you buck at that thing, Rappaport. Now, this is an article from Yahoo Sports. tied to the Saints wire by Sigler, who said that he was basically writing off what Ian Rappaport tweeted out, that the Saints, James Funk, who cleared waivers, he was a running back, is signing with the Saints practice squad. He had several offers and chose his opportunity to be with the black and gold. So New Orleans Saints practice squad added former Rams running back Jake Funk after signing veteran free agent Jordan Howard. Now both guys on the practice squad now, right? Funk, who's 24, was a 7th round pick by the Rams out of Maryland in 21 and primarily played on special team. He logged 2 carries in the NFL, gained 6 yards. So Funk is not going to be a running back that you bring in to help you in terms of running the football. That's not what Funk is here. Funk is here to help the Saints special teams because the Saints special teams blocking units are funky. So Funk is coming here to kind of help out that way. I don't see this as, he did return a few kicks, but he also plays in covering the punts and kickoffs too. So he has some experience there, and the Saints jumped at have an opportunity to bring Funk to the Saints. So anyway, let's finish up this article right here. The New Orleans Saints practice squad added former Los Angeles Rams running back Jake Funk after signing veteran free agent Jordan Howard per NFL's Ian Rappaport. He's 24. He's a 7th-round pick, and the Rams released him, put him on the street. Now, he also returned 4 kicks for gain 88 yards. He averaged 22 yards per try, though the bulk of Funk's focus has been centered on covering punts and kickoffs rather than returning it. The Rams released Funk this weekend while reshuffling their depth chart in the wake of several injuries, and after clearing waivers, he became a free agent. Ian adds that he had other opportunities around the league, but chose to sign with the black and gold, similar to, what happened to Latavius Murray. Now, Funk is the 2nd running back to sign with the Saints practice squad this week after the Saints picked up Howard. They both slotted in behind Kamara and Mark Ingram and Dwayne Washington on the depth chart. Now, it makes sense for the team to reload in the position after losing Latavius Murray and Tony Jones in subsequent weeks. But this still feels like an area that could be better improved by trading for a more accomplished player. We'll see if anything materializes on that front ahead of the November the 1st NFL trade deadline. Are the Saints looking to make a trade move on the trade deadline? I say no. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think the Saints are going to bust a move and talk about, okay, we're going to end up moving on and try to see if we can pick up a running back there or whatnot. But Funk is a guy, it's clearly a special teams, a player the Saints are bringing on to try to help them in that area, in that arena. Now, obviously, you look at Coach Rizzi, who had an interview, and I should have played that interview tonight about what he was saying. But listen, you don't often hear from your special teams coach. And listen, I'm not very happy with how the Saints special teams units are happening. We know Will Lutz hadn't had the best time either kicking field goals in this year. He's coming off the injury of last year, and he just don't seem like the Will Lutz we know. So he's still getting there. Blake Gillikin is doing what Blake Gillikin does. But in terms of our kick return, Deontay struggled. And really, the kick return and punt return units haven't really given us a big boost, in which we expecting the offense and defense to carry their bucket of water. But what about the special teams? They're a unit that contribute to the winning. The special teams need to carry their water too. They need to help out by helping flip the field. And I'm putting the onus and the pressure on Coach Rizzi to get this stuff right with these goddamn blockers, because they're awful. At some point, man, this is going to turn out to hurt us, because all 3 units have to contribute to help you win ball games. If you can't score, at least the offense gets you in position where the field goal kicker or the place kicker kicks field goals to often get points on drives where we're not scoring touchdowns. That'll be the most ideal thing. Like, ideally, you will want the touchdowns. But if you can't get the touchdowns for whatever reason, at least get the field goals. At least get some kind of points. You see what I'm saying? Now, that might not be the case all the time, but the goal is to get something. Just don't go down there and not get anything. So the Saints add Funk to the table, and we'll see how that shakes moving forward after, of course, they put Howard. We covered that yesterday. All right, and then, of course, let's do a little looking at this thing, man. This is what we'll be dealing with the Bengals, man, coming up. And these are the numbers right here. 21.6 with the average per game versus the Saints 23 flat. Their defense giving up right at 18 points per contest. The Saints defense giving up 25.6, and that explains anytime. In certain rare circumstances, you might see that you're scoring more than you're giving up. You might be 500, but the Saints, anytime you're scoring less than what you're giving up, you're going to be on the wrong side of the win total. And the Saints are, they're 2-3. But we have to clean a lot of that up because the defense is not really looking to part like what Seattle offense was able to do to them. Running and passing was ugly. Total yards, the Bengals coming into this contest averaging almost 360 yards per contest. The Saints at 397. The passing totals on offense, the passing offense for Joey B, 268 per game. Saints at 260.6. The Bengals rush at that thing at 92 yards per contest. Nothing really shaking with Mixon. He hadn't gotten going like you would want him to get going, but they're trying to hope that he can get going against the Saints because Patterson got going against the Saints, and in the backup running back, Kenneth Walker got going up against the Saints, and they licking their chops saying, listen, the Saints defense, you hit them in their mouth up the middle, they're going to leak out and give you some yardage. So Mixon, who's a battering ram, looking at them, salivating and rubbing his hands, doing the Birdman hand rub, straight up, looking at that thing. So we're going to see how it all looks, family, coming into it. But, man, I tell you, it's going to be intriguing to say the most about what they do, man. But anyway, it's going to be interesting. But anyway, Saints at 136.2, as you can see, 136.2, man. They're 10th in the NFL in the rushing attack. Saints need to lean on that. They need to lean on that. 136.2 over the last 5 or 6 weeks, or 5 weeks worth of NFL action for the black and gold. Lean on your rushing attack. Yards allowed by the defense, 337, almost 338. You might as well average it. That they give up. The Saints giving up a little bit more. 356 with the Saints surrendering. And the most of it, look at the yardage over 5 games. 238.2 is what the Bengals secondary is giving up. They're just a little bit, maybe a 20-yard shy, with the Saints are averaging throwing the ball per game. And then they are holding you with the rushing attack. So they're saying, listen, you're not going to run on us. They're holding you under 100 yards rushing over 5 contests for the Bengals. The Saints are surrendering almost 226 yards through the secondary. And look at that big, ugly, stinking number right here, 130 yards a game that the Saints are giving up on the ground. That is awful and really sad because the Saints' interior defense is so much better than that, than what we're seeing. They're getting gashed. And a lot of that said, well, Q, what's wrong with them? Are they just not as good as what? I mean, listen, when the Saints offense is not handling this business, if they're not carrying the water, remember, the water got to get carried. The chores got to be done. You know what I'm saying? The chores have to get done. And we can look at it like let's call them three, they twins. The offense, defense, special teams are twins. That's all. They just three twins, right? Triplets. That's the proper term, triplets. Let's look at them as identical triplets. Well, guess what? Mommy and daddy said they got chores that need to be done. Guess what? And the triplets, they're not babies. Obviously, they're grown enough to do chores, but in my scenario, but somebody got to do the chores. So if triplet special teams is running around here playing around and smelling flowers, and then the triplet offense is eating candy and climbing trees and acting crazy, and the only responsible one is the defense, and he got to carry the buckets of water for both his siblings, then what you think gonna happen? He gonna get wore down a bit. And I see a lot of that happening because a lot of times the Saints offense was not doing what they were supposed to do, and they'll leave in certain circumstances the Saints offense or defense, in short field scenarios. Now, most of the time the Saints will make the opposition kick field goals, which is what you're supposed to do. Sometimes they did not. Sometimes they'll get gashed, and a lot of times when they're out there longer than what they're supposed to, they're going to give up plays. You know that bend but don't break thing? But in some of the matchups, the Saints simply give up the plays, like the explosives that we talked about in the Seattle Sea Chickens preview and recap. How the Saints defense were giving up explosive plays that kept the Seattle Seahawks into the game. If you take away the explosive plays, which was the 3 touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and then the run of Kenneth Walker, the 60-something odd yard run that he had, those explosives play, you take that 21 points away, the Saints hand them people a double-digit loss. But at the end of the day, the explosives have to be neutralized. You can't let teams come up in there and throw the ball on, and you stop them, and then third down, they slinging the ball over your head for a deep touchdown. And the next thing you know, Jamar Chase running 40 yards down the field for a touchdown to break the game open. That's something that you don't want to do. If you're the Saints offense, you don't want to compete with the Cincinnati Bengals in that type of mood, especially if you are Andy Dalton. And I know Dalton is licking his lips too, because he wants to get a little revenge against the team that drafted him, that he led for many years. Now he can kind of let the air out of their tires, so to speak, by beating them. Maybe he can drop a little game and talk about some stuff of what they need to do. But at the end of the day, the Saints need to run the ball against this team, and this team is actually, according to statistics, a decent run stuffing team. So something got to give, right? But like the triplet analogy, at some point, somebody got to do the chores. And it's so much easier when all of the siblings are helping out in the workload, as opposed to one of them or two of them carrying for the rest. So, it's going to be interesting to see. Let's get back into this thing, man, because the statistics mean a lot. You look at the last couple of games, and I was able to study some film on the Bengals, and what I realized about them, they lost 3 games this year, yes, but they were in those games. They just didn't finish them. Like they had the first game of the season for them against Pittsburgh, they lost in overtime by 3. Each loss was 3 by 3 or less, so they don't lose big. You know what I'm saying? They're not able to close out the game. And as you see, the 2 losses to Pittsburgh and Dallas was the same way. They lost in overtime to Pittsburgh. The Dallas was a 3-point loss. Then they beat the Jets and Miami, and then they lose to Baltimore by 2. So you can't look at this team and say, well, they are not finishing the games correctly, and they kind of shooting themselves in the foot, to be honest with you. But they're in those games, losing by 3 or less. That says a lot. Now we take a look at the black and gold with their losses. We can't really say the same. The Tampa Bay game, the Saints had the opportunity to win every last one of them games. They did. The Saints had turnovers in each one of those games. Every game, to be honest with you, they've had turnovers, which is a big point of emphasis, is that the Saints can't have any more turnovers. And I know that's saying something that might be difficult for the Saints offense to view. But if you're going to get, and you're going into game number 6, week 6 of the NFL season, the Saints cannot keep turning the ball over. That's not, you can't do that. Like, that's not feasible. You can't score a touchdown and then turn the ball over multiple times. That's what they do. Every game is multiple turnovers that they give up to the opposition. Because there'll be times in the games where the Saints will have the ball and they're marching to score, and then they say, you know what? Let's make it dramatic. Let's get a ball over to them, and they hand the ball to them people. And then the Saints turnovers, which they're the Saints turnovers, family, they -8 on it. That's horrible. Usually, if you're on the plus side of the equation, you know what I'm saying? When you're doing the business, if the Saints was +8, man, the Saints would be undefeated if they was +8, but they're not. They're -8. They're in the hole with the turnovers, and that can't be. So not only do the Saints turn the ball over, the offense is turning the goddamn ball over, but the defense ain't taking the ball away fast enough to keep up with the offense turn. They ain't turning it over too much. So, I mean, that has to change. We have to get on the plus side of the turnover, the minus plus on the turnover ratio. We need to get plus. We -8, I think, if I remember checking. That was the other day. I was looking at it, I said, that can't be right. That's -8. So, I mean, you can look at the statistics and they'll give you a good insight of what's going on. And then you look at what they're doing on the field. The Saints they are an advantageous team. They can do so much more if they stop shooting themselves in the foot and start being disciplined. We know that they have the ability to be a disciplined team. We see it in the past. But we knew when you had a coach like Sean Payton looming around, I ain't gonna say they was, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say that it was a certain fear that Coach Payton instilled in his players, because Coach Payton would get pissed off, and that means that your ass in the doghouse or you sitting down. Mark Ingram fumbling back-to-back games will mean a benching for Mark Ingram, and the Saints will add or put the backup running back in there to get him going. Mark Ingram been doing this for years. Mark Ingram would be fumbling the goddamn ball. I remember one of the best ways Sean Payton handled Mark Ingram is when Tim Hightower was the backup running back, and Mark Ingram fumbled that goddamn ball. Then he pulled his ass out of there and put Tim Hightower in there. Hightower started for the Saints in 2 games. At Mark Ingram, then he brought him in with Hightower starting. Mark Ingram ran like a beast to get his job back. Sometimes them guys need to be motivated like that. You can't turn the ball over and then a play or two later you back out there on the field. Well, hold on to it next time. No, there got to be some type of punishment for you hurting your team. And it can't be, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to do better. No, it can't be just that. It has to be, if you fumble, you turn over, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose some time out there. That's the worst thing you can do to a player is to take his reps away, because them guys really want to play. If they worth anything, you take their reps away from them. And even if they kept doing it, you move the other guy out and put the new guy in. And that's what Coach Payton would do. He would take. Dennis Allen doesn't have that persona of a guy that anybody's scared of. Dennis Allen walks around, look like he floating on the cloud. You know what I'm saying? Like he pedaling, like he walking on the treadmill. And nobody's afraid of him. He doesn't have that mystique that Coach Payton had where he would keep players in line because people didn't want to be in Coach Payton's doghouse. Like when we seen the slipperage that was happening, several games ago, we kept seeing, remember we seeing the guy falling down, somebody was slipping, I forgot who it was. I'm like, man, go change your cleats. That was something Coach Payton, that was a big problem with Coach Payton. If you didn't have the right cleats on and you was out there, boy, that'll put you in the doghouse with Coach Payton. That'll put your ass in the doghouse. So I ain't asking this dude to be like Payton. I'm saying, man, listen, if guys don't do what they're supposed to, take their reps away, man. Make them earn it again. Maybe you complacent. You're obviously feeling complacent if you think you can fumble the ball away and not and don't think you're gonna face any punishment. Oh, that's all right. I fumbled it. I'll get it right on the next time. The player's gonna slap you on your back and say, yeah, keep your head up. But it's the coach's responsibility to not only slap you on your back and say, listen, I'm gonna have to take some of these reps away. We're gonna try such and such. Okay, coach. And they would understand at that point because you did something that was a negative to the team. You did something you wasn't supposed to do. Because they damn sure ain't gonna take no money away from them. Lord knows they ain't gonna do that. All right, anyway, fam, let's keep it bucking and moving. Let's go on to this depth chart right here and look at this thing here. All right, so anyway, this is the depth chart for the Cincinnati Bengals. So let me shrink it a little bit, fam, so y'all can see it. All right, there we go. All right, obviously, you know Joey Burrow and what he can do. We know Joey's been there and done some real good stuff for the team. His statistics, over 1,300 yards passing right now. That's 11th in the NFL currently. 9 touchdowns, tied for 7th in the NFL, and only 5 interceptions, 9-5. And his rating is not that good, a 46.4 rating. Now, listen, the offensive line ain't hitting on nothing, man. The offensive line ain't really hitting on nothing for this team. Did some research. I looked at some plays, and let me tell you something. They allowed a lot of sacks on Joey B. Right now, it's 19th. They allowed 19 sacks on Joey Burrow through 5 games. That's the 4th most in the NFL. That's the 4th most in the NFL. The 4th most. So you can get after Joey Burrow. You can get after him because this offensive line is not all that it's cracked up to be. So we're going to have to pressure Joey Burrow and get to him. He's player number 1 we have to focus on. Who's player number 2? Well, if Joey Burrow's gone, he got a guy that you got to watch out for, who their best wide receiver, and this brother, another LSU guy that we love a lot. It's Jamar Chase. 32 catches, that's tied for 8th in the NFL with 343 yards. He has 2 touchdowns, and he averages over 10 yards per catch. So that means anytime Jamar catches it, it's a first down. We can't let that go. We can't allow this brother to get going and get cooking in the game. And we know there's a question about what happens with Laddie Daddy. Does he play in this matchup? Well, you know, right now through 2, with Wednesday and Thursday, he DNP'd. But we'll see what Friday looks like, but it's not looking good for Laddie Daddy. So hopefully that changes on Friday for several players. Because if it's DNP tomorrow, they're going to miss this game. And the Saints are going to have to step up and handle the business against these very dangerous guys like Jamar Chase. If Joe Burrow gets going, that's the guy he's looking at. All right. And so also now they have 3 really talented receivers. Now, T. Higgins was DNP both Wednesday and Thursday. He's another guy. He's a 2nd-round draft pick from Clemson. This brother here was a 1st-round talent that fell to him in the 2nd round. He's a good wide receiver. Right now, he's a little banged up with an ankle issue. He was shut down Wednesday and Thursday, like I said. He has 20 catches for his team, 315 yards and 2 touchdowns. He averages 16 yards per catch. Now, Jamar's 6 feet tall. T. Higgins is 6'4", so he's the big guy who has some athletic ability as well. Now, like I said, he was shut down the last couple of days, so he's questionable with an ankle issue. So we're going to have to watch that report, because if Higgins is in there, it'll be a problem. And of course, Tyler Boyd's the other of the triplets that is impactful. He's a speed guy, 6'2". He's another second-round pick for him a couple years back. This guy here, family, is a dude here that average. He got 15 catches on the season, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, and look at his catch rate at 15.6. So every last one of their impactful wide receivers average over a first down per catch. That can't fly. That can't fly. We can't allow Joey Burrow to get funky with any one of them wide receivers. Now, listen, that's who Joey throws to. But listen, this is their running back, and he really ain't got going like you expect him. Joe Mixon is a power guy, and they do mix other little guys up in that thing. But Mixon's the star back for them. 96 attempts, family. That's 4th in the entire NFL attempts-wise. He has 302, which is 20th, which he's averaging 3.1 yards per rush, which is 47, which really is not Joe Mixon's style, which means they can show you that's 3.1 showing me something with 1 rushing touchdown on the season is showing me one thing. Well, actually, it's showing me multiple things. But as I just told you, when you look at the offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals, they surrendered 19 sacks on Joey Burrow. That's the 4th most in the NFL. And then, of course, obviously they're not protecting Joey B. worth shit. So Joe Mixon is a guy that run the ball, and he averaging, 3.1 yards per carry on a battling running back like Joe Mixon. That main offensive line ain't handling his business either. So the offensive line is an overall problem. They're not protecting Joey Burrow, and they're not opening up lanes for Joe Mixon to run. Now, with that being said, that team is looking at the Saints and saying, listen, we can have some success up against the Saints. We really could, because they allowed Patterson to get going. They allowed a backup running back in Walker to get going. They allowed these guys to get going so Joe Mixon can get going on the Saints. The Saints got to stop that, man. They can't let this get going. And like I showed you before, the Saints are allowing 100. Listen close on this one. The Saints are allowing 130 yards per game through 5 games. 5 games, 130 yards per game on the ground. That is that can't happen, man. That can't happen. We got to fix that. So when you look at it, thank you, Khalid, bro. He says we will need a pass rush to beat them. Listen, we talked about tacky offensive line. We're gonna get to the rest of their line because their line ain't really hitting on nothing, to be honest with you. They don't protect Joey Burrow that well. You can get after them, and they don't really do what they're supposed to do in opening up the rushing attack to allow this team to have success. And like we talk about rushing touchdowns, I looked into all of that. This is some of the stuff I was gonna go over with Solomon and them, but they're 27th in rushing touchdowns. The Saints are 6th. So that all kind of goes back toward how the offensive line is playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. Speaking from the offensive standpoint, the offensive line standpoint, they're not very good. Now, with that being said, is that a big plus for the Saints that their offensive line is not very good? The Bengals offensive line is not very good? No. Why? Because the Saints struggled this entire season against no name ass offensive lines. We talking about the back of the backups that'll go up in there and look like Pro Bowlers against the Saints, and Davenport, who can't get off. He gets some tackles, but he can't get off. The sack is the big thing that you need to get going. And if you one-on-one with a guy, you got to beat that guy. If you are a guy that's a first-round draft pick in your final season, you got to get off when you're single blocked. You got to get home. So we're going to need Davenport to really get on his game, because more than likely he's going to be taking on La'el Collins on that side. So he's got to get off and he got to get home. So we know Cam doing his thing. Cam got, I think they gave Cam, they had their half a sack. I think they removed and gave that half a sack to Cam that they gave to Demario Davis. So Cam is doing his thing in part, but we need Davenport to step up from the other side and handle the business. We also need David Onyemata to become David Onyemata of 2 years ago. We need the old school David Onyemata to wake up and play mean, nasty David Onyemata football that we know. We need him to wake up something fierce. We really do. And we need another interior defensive lineman to step up and really handle the business. To new Passanio, where are you? Passanio, where the hell are you? you know. But anyway, let's get on back to this. Let's finish this up, fam. I'm not trying to keep y'all all day. All right. So anyway, Hayden Hurst is their tied in right here. And this dude used to play for the Baltimore Ravens. They brought him down there. He dealing with a groin issue. He was limited in practice, although he's supposed to play. He has 20 catches for them for 157. He has two touchdowns, and he averaged 8 yards per catch for the Cincinnati Bengals. So you see some of them just going through to familiarize our black and gold family members with the Cincinnati Bengals offense right now. Their offensive line: Jonah Williams, Cordell Volson, Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, who was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. He took a payday to go to the Bengals, and of course Lyle Collins, the former Cowboy, former LSU Tiger, who's operating from the right tackle position. So that's their offensive line, and that's the line the Saints need to handle the business and get after those guys. Now, they run a base 4-3, but really it's a modified set. Most teams say that they base defenses did, but they spend most of the time in the modified nickel position. But you look at these guys, they have a really good tandem of Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. These guys are good defensive linemen. A lot of people look at Trey Hendrickson and say, damn, the Saints should have kept Trey Hendrickson, who has 2.5 sacks right now. So Trey doing his thing, 8 solo tackles. He has 2.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles for Trey Hendrickson, who since he's been in Cincinnati, he's been stepping his game up. You know, hopefully Davenport can step his game up like Trey. Sam Hubbard, which is the other guy who has 11 solo tackles and a sack. They have a nice, these are pretty decent defensive ends. I mean, they will kind of surprise you. So we got to watch out for those guys. And of course, BJ Hill in the middle, their big guy there. And really Josh Tupu is their nose tackle. He's like 330 something odd pounds. But like I said, these guys don't have much of a name. A lot of people are not familiar with them. But listen, that defense, like I said, are holding teams through 5 games. Look, in terms of running the ball, less than 100 yards per contest. So you might not know the name, but you're going to know the game based on what they've been doing. And of course, one of the weakest areas that I was able to do research on this team is the linebacker core. Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson. And then when they run in the third guy out there is Gaither. Their linebacking core, to me, is the weakest of the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Then you look at the secondary with Awuzie, he's definitely their best cornerback. Eli Apple is there, which we know he's trash. And Mike Hilton, the former Steeler, is there. And Hilton's a pretty good player in his own right. He plays in the slot. So I like Mike Hilton. He's a smart player. I wanted the Saints to get Mike Hilton. I was really pushing for them to get Hilton to come in and help out, but that's fine. And Awuzie's a guy, Chidi Awuzie is a guy he don't have any picks, but he's a good physical cornerback. You know what I mean? He's still learning the game, but he's a physical cornerback and their best corner. And of course, we look at Eli Apple, sad ass, coming back to the city, talking all that mess. So, you know, we're going to torch him. So wherever he is, let's find him and throw at him. And that's how you're going to move the ball. So wherever he is, you go over there. And like I said, Mike Hilton is the slot man for him. Mike Hilton's a good cornerback, man. He's a little bit undersized, but he played with a lot of heart. So, and really, you look at the safety player, Von Bell, a former Ohio State and Saint longtime safety. Von Bell has been doing pretty decent things for the Cincinnati Bengals. He leads them with interception. He has 23 tackles and 3 picks. He has 1 forced fumble, and he has 3 picks. He's tied second in the entire NFL with picks in that thing. So, and he also has 4 pass defense. So shout out to Von Bell, man, being productive with the Cincinnati Bengals. Their little team littered with former Saint players. And of course, their former high draft pick in the second round, Jesse Bates, is the other safety with 17 solo tackles and 1 pick of his own right and a couple of pass defense in that thing. So their secondary is not scaring anybody, but you look at them and some people would say that the secondary is the best portion of the Cincinnati Bengals defense is the secondary. And like I said, the front 7, the defensive line, they do a pretty good job of stopping teams from running the ball. And like I said, you look at their statistics of what they're giving up, 238.2, and then stopping you from under 100 yards a matchup. So they'll say, well, you'll find more opportunity throwing up against the secondary. Listen, I still feel good enough. I think mano a mano, the Saints coming in this thing, rushing at 136 yards per contest. Let's test that 99.6 and see if it's real deal. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna do the same thing with the Saints, looking at what they looking like, giving up 130 yards per contest. So, and their punt kicker is Evan McPherson. Kevin Huber is the place kicker is McPherson. Their punter is Kevin Huber. Return men are Trent Taylor and Chris Evans. Evans is a nice running back, a good little backup running back. If Samaj Perine can't go, he's showing like he's hurt. They have Chris Evans there who do a pretty good job in his own right. So what does it look like, family? What's the breakdown for this game? What do the Saints need to do to come away with the victory against the Cincinnati team? You can look at all the statistics. You can talk about it. Here go the NFL's breakdown of it, showing their offense is ranked 22nd, Saints is 7th. This is total offensive numbers according to the NFL.com. Their defense is ranked 7th in the NFL, according to this, and then the Saints is 10th. You look at the passing attack, their offense is ranked, the passing offense is ranked 12th. The Saints is 13th, and their rushing is 25th, So they have to move the ball some kind of way, and they're moving it through the air. Of course, the Saints rushing at that thing. So you look at the Saints passing at 13th, running at 10th, listed as 7th, top offense, 7th, ranked 7th. If that's indeed the case, and then we should be a lot better than what it appears to be, man. So sometimes the numbers can be quite tricky. They can fool you. And I think this is one of those cases where you had an inflated game. You had an inflated game when you put up 200 something odd yards on 48 carries. You average 5 yards per carry. And that one kind of boosts you up there. But really, truthfully, if you don't know the team, you'll think, man, the Saints such that. They are a good running team. Passing team, they have the potential to be, but from a confidence standpoint, they're not there yet. They're not there. Still a lot of confusion there. But when the Saints hunker down and run the ball, that's the clear path to winning this game. Just like they did last week when they just wore out Seattle. And really, like I said, it would have been a double-digit win had not the Saints defense surrendered explosive plays to keep the game in place. 3 explosive plays they surrendered for touchdowns. They helped to bust that thing and kept it close. But keys to victory for the black and gold. No turnovers. Knock on wood. No turnovers. No turnovers. No turnovers. No turnovers. No turnovers. No turnovers. Can we have a game in the Superdome with no turnovers? No turnovers. And I say that in procession, and repetitively, because that should be beaten into their goddamn head all throughout practice. No turnovers. No turnovers. And Dennis Allen should be saying that at least 1,000 times in that locker room. No turnovers. He need to put up big red ass signs all the way around the locker room. No turnovers. No turnovers. No turnovers. And remember, no turnovers. Pass out cards and shit. Pretend you look like they thank you for being a Saint. They open it up in red lettering. No turnovers. Whatever you got to do, right? Get an airplane and write it in the sky over the top of the Saints facility. No turnovers. Just no turnovers, just all over the place. Painted everywhere. No turnovers. That's the first thing. No turnovers. We turn the ball over every game. No damn turnovers. And then after that, then we get schematically speaking, and we kind of reproduce something similar. I don't expect the Saints to run 48 times against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I don't expect that to happen again. I'll be surprised if that does. But at least 30 to 35 times against the Cincinnati Bengals. That's what you got to run the ball against them and test to see if they're that good at stopping the run. Let's run that thing. And we have to run to set up the pass because we can't operate. I don't think will be an effective way of doing it in the reverse, because the Saints tried to do that over the previous games with all these other teams, and it didn't work. But when they went to the run to set the pass, it did work, which stuck in their minds. So I expect them to run the ball a lot in this game, because they'll activate Jordan Howard, because really, if you look at what the Saints are doing, I would really like them to run Dwayne Washington. Washington been here for years. He's been here doing this thing. I don't understand why the Saints don't use Dwayne Washington. They really should use Dwayne Washington. They don't use him enough as a running back. They need to use him. He's a guy that averaged 4.5 yards a carry. He's a battering ram that you could put in on them short and long situations as opposed to running Kamara up against them people. Let him be a guy that come in for short yardage, and maybe you can play him toward the back end of the game and late in the third, in the fourth quarter, and hammer them defenses when they're tired. You see? And maybe we can set up and use decoy. I seen them a couple of plays when they would set up Elvin as a decoy. They'll move him outside and try to see if they can spread the defense out so they can have an opportunity to hit them. And listen, they was doing that stuff with Taysom Hill and had some success. So we expect to see some similar stuff we seen with Taysom Hill against the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to be looking at him because of him being offensive player of the week, and all of the lights will be on Taysom Hill when he get out on that field. So let's see if the Saints can keep it going by allowing him to pass the ball too, because that's another key, another giblet, another game, another nugget was Taysom Hill's plays. Let it be balanced. Let him have the ability to throw as well as run the football. That's a big key, a big nugget there for the Saints' success. And if they can kind of take certain similar, not exactly counterfeit the game plan, because really you can't do that because most of the teams are so smart in preparing for you that you rarely can do the same game plan the next week against an adversary. They'll look at it, game plan it, figure it out, and then you won't be successful. So the Saints got to mix it up, but they damn sure got to run the ball at least 30 times, 30, 35 times a game, set up the pass off the back of the run, and no turnovers. Did I say no turnovers? Did I say no turnovers? No turnovers. No turnovers. Since they saying it, let's all say it to their ass. Let's bombard their goddamn accounts. If they got Twitter and whatever, Instagram, let's bombard their shit and say no turnovers. No turnover. Let's beat it in their head. Let's speak it into existence that the Saints need to stop turning the ball over every game. And then when they turn the ball over, it's a hurting turnover. It's not like it's a turnover that don't do nothing. It's an empty turnover, as they call it. Empty turnover means they don't get no points out of it. The Saints get the ball back. They got the ball. Then they fumble the ball or throw an interception. The Saints defense stop them. They get no points off it. Empty turnover, kick it back to me. But no, these turnovers turn into points, whether they field goals or touchdowns, that lead to defeats, lead to you being defeated. So this turnover stuff got to stop, man. I don't care who it is. No damn turnovers no more. Damn. And besides, the turnover, man, the Saints, man, I don't even much want to tell you about the turnover statistics, man. I was looking at that. I was like, God damn, are we really that? Yeah, man. Oh no, we ain't gonna even do that. But anyway, listen, fam, that's the keys to my Q's Nuggets. That's the nuggets to the game for the Saints to get it. The golden nuggets to the games is no turnovers. That's number one. Number two, balance. Taysom Hill is play set, passing and running to keep the defense for the Bengals off of guard, to have their head spinning. Another thing is run the football at least 30 to 35 times a game, because when the Saints do that, they win 90+% of their contests when they run the ball at least 30 times a game, which is what you should be focusing on doing. So that's a few nuggets right there. And of course, a fourth nugget could be for the defense. Defense is got to get after Joey Burrow and that team. This offensive line is not a very good offensive line. Like I told you, that they gave up 19 sacks in the NFL. That's fourth most in the NFL that Joey Burrow kissing is laying on the carpet. 19 times he got sacked in 5 games. 19 times. And then they're not a good running team either. But the reality is that should give the Saints an opportunity to get off and get home against Joey Burrow. Because if you can get Joey on the ground, that obstructs everything. That's the fourth nugget, that the Saints defense has got to get off, and they got to show us the dominant defense we know. If they can't get off against the Cincinnati Bengals, I was surprised and shocked as hell about the Tampa Bay game. The Saints couldn't get home against the Buccaneers. I'm like, that guy's a statue back there. He's a statue, he can't move. And then you have 4 backups in there, and one of the backups was the blind side offensive tackle. You see? And they couldn't get out. Like 1 sack split between 2 interior linemen. Where was everybody else? So that just really befuddles me that we've faced some of the NFL's, I ain't gonna say weak, because obviously they wasn't weak because they stopped us from getting off. But hopefully that trend stops against the Cincinnati Bengals in the dome. So hopefully we can get this and make this stuff shake, man. So yeah, we got to get them on the ground in a major way. So we'll see how it all shakes. And of course, we talked about the special teams. Hopefully, the blocking for the special teams in terms of the kick returns and punt returns has to improve, family. I know I'm kind of belaboring that point, but I got to hit that home because ain't nobody talking about that. Nobody talking about that the Saints kick return and punt return blockers are not blocking. You put the tape on. The tape should be showed to every special teams people out there to show you now how to handle special teams. The blocking is so bad that you see 2 and 3 guys sprinting down there at the kick returner and punt returner. I remember there was a play several games ago where Deontay Hardy shook one dude, right? And it's not like he had a few. He shook one dude, out of his shoes, got beyond him. Another dude was on him. He moved out the way, and then another guy like, what? Where are these people coming from? Are they running from the locker room? I'm like, where are the blockers? Where are the blockers? The block for the man so he can get some yardage. So, I mean, listen, they are horrible, man. And you put the tape on, you watch them. There's always some opposition streaking down the field, shooting and darting at your kick return or your punt returner. I'm tired of seeing it. It's terrible. They shouldn't get paid nothing if they gonna play like that. You might as well not be on the field if you're gonna let the guy run past you and go and knock the piss out your kick returner or your punt returner. Man, listen, it's a big difference. If them guys don't start blocking, man, it's gonna be a long season because they're not gonna. That special team, the kick return and punt return is not flipping the field. They're not giving the offense short fields to work with. At least do that. At least give us a short field where the offense don't have to work its way all the way from behind the 20-yard line, 80 yards downfield to get something shaking and baking. At least block and get them to the 45 or 50-yard line for a shortened field. That's what your job is. And it's terrible, man. It's so watch. Y'all don't put the tape on and study the blockers. They are awful, man. Awful, trash, trash can ass blocking on the punt return, the kick return. It's just disgusting. We don't talk about that because we need to, because it helps the offense out in so many ways where they don't have to come all the way back from the 20-something if they can start at the 40 or the 45 because we got decent blocking going on. And I don't expect them to open up lanes for touchdowns, but at least get my team to the 40-yard line. God damn. Anyway, that's enough, man, before I go on the long-ass spiel about that. Listen, that's the nuggets for the game, family. That's all I got for tonight. Listen, I'd like to thank all of you guys for chiming in on this episode. Like I said, we'll be back. I'll reschedule Solomon to pop up here and ask him about, the Cincinnati Bengals more in depth as he covers them. We'll bring him up here on the Sports Coma and let him talk it at it. Tonight we had to reschedule him. But anyway, that's my call on it. That's all I got. I know the Bengals offensive line, you're right, we just talking. Bengals always line is horrible. But listen, bro, does that give me any comfort in my soul, in my spirit? Hell no. You know why? Because the Saints have played some pretty no-name offenses and made them look like they were first ballot Pro Bowlers. I mean, my goodness. Davenport can't get home against rookies. Dude, for real. No, bro. Dude, you can't do that. You are a first-round draft pick defensive lineman. You got to get home against rookies. The third round, I don't care what you got to get home, especially if you single block. You got to get home. Your job is to beat the if you can't beat a single blocker, bro, we don't need you here. We don't need you. And of course, hopefully Peyton Turner, he was out last game. He was DNP this game. He got some kind of chest issue. But where the hell is a NASCAR package when you need it? My goodness. Where the hell is Davenport? Davenport. Where's Onyemata? I mean, my goodness, man. Where's Passanio? We need these guys to step up, shut that leaky faucet, a 130 game rushing that we allow. We got to shut that off, man. So anyway, with that being said, that's all I got for tonight. Listen, fam, I appreciate y'all for popping in the stream. Like I said, we'll reschedule Solomon, and I'll let y'all guys know on the flip side of this thing. Score prediction for the matchup. Man, I hate to even call these things, man. Talk about the score prediction for the game, man. I hate to even say it, man. But I think ultimately the Saints do win the game. I think it'll, I put it at 20. I say 31-24, something like that. 31-24, 31-24 Saints. I'll put that out there. 31-24 Saints. I think the Saints get 31. I think the Bengals make it a interesting game, 31-24. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints defense stepped up and really bashed down on the Bengals to get that 2-game winning streak going. So we need a really dominating performance, man. And this team would be a good team to go. If we could just go and dominate the Bengals and get 2 straight in the dome, that would be a good way to go on the road against it. We need a dominating performance because we have yet to have that. If you think about it in your collective, over the last 5 contests, we have yet to have a dominating performance against any NFL team this season. We need a good dominating performance just to show, ourselves in the family base that we're capable of that. But in order for that to happen, the Saints cannot be turning the ball over. So before I start spilling out again, I said 31-24, fam. That's my call right there, man. That's my call, man. So we'll see how it all shakes. So listen, I'm up out of here, fam. Listen, I appreciate y'all. Feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed to the Sports Coma, hit the subscribe button. Feel free to share the show's link on your social media feed with the diehards, man. You know we love the diehards. Share it on your social media feed. If you're on Facebook and you're watching me on Facebook, we got a lot of family members that watch the Sports Coma via Facebook. Please feel free to share the show's link in Facebook with the rest of your family members. You put it on their feed. Let them know that we talking real deal here at the Sports Coma, man. We up in this thing. So with that being said, fam, I'm going to get on up out of here. I appreciate y'all, man. Let's get this dub. We'll reschedule Solomon, man, for the next on the flip side of this thing. So I appreciate you guys kicking it with me tonight. And I'm going to holler at y'all again. Much love and who that?
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that.
I'm a who that.
Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that.
I'm a who that.
Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
Where we do that.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees are Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network. TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. Check out the Pro Shop. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That too.